Monday evening here in downtown Chicago, and my name is Haas, and I'm a vegan animal rights activist, and I'm here for this pretty impromptu live stream. So I'll be basically holding a sign, inviting people to participate in a social experiment. The sign is this sign, so it just says, "Come participate in a social experiment." And that is what I'm doing. So thank you for being here. I don't see anybody here actually right now, but for those watching on the replay, thank you for being here. And hopefully the sound and everything is working. But we'll see. We'll see what we get here. I don't plan on being out here too long because, in all honesty, I am a little bit dehydrated. Hey, Carrie, good to see you. But yeah, we'll see what we can get today. And this will actually probably be my last stream. Thanks, Carrie. All right, sound and picture are good. This will actually be my last stream with this phone. So I will soon be. I actually received my upgraded phone in the mail. So I will have a hopefully even clearer picture very soon. So really looking forward to that as well. And one of the other reasons is that my upgraded phone will have better battery life. Right now, I'm using a iPhone 13 mini, and it has a pretty small battery relative to the 16 Pro. So yeah, look forward to better picture, better not better sound probably because it'll just be another Bluetooth mic, but yeah, that'll be it'll still be good. I'll be able to do longer streams and not have as much worry about the battery. So yes, I'm excited as well. Hey, Gray Sky Vegan, glad to see you here. This will probably be a shorter stream. Let me make sure. Hello, would you like to participate? All right, so we got to participate to find out. Are you okay to be live on my YouTube channel, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, great. What's your name?
Austin.
Austin, cool. My name is Haas. What's your little friend here's name?
This is Rike.
Okay, hi Rike. May I pet him?
Of course, he's friendly.
Do you want to be petted? Do I have your
cool.
consent? Okay. He gave me a willing nod.
He looked at you.
So I've been asking people this question that I think might be relevant to you with Rike being here as well. So I recently learned about some research where animals were having burn research conducted upon them, and specifically dogs were the research subject. So they were basically being shaven, like a patch was being shaven off of them, after which a metal plate was being pressed, like a hot metal plate, to burn them. And then, they were, I guess, testing different burn therapies on the dogs to advance the healing of burns for humans. I'm wondering what you think about that, like the use of animals in those kinds of testing.
I mean, I think in that specific scenario, maybe a little extreme. When I was in college, I was an interdisciplinary student, and part of some bonus points on my degree was I did a research project studying the stress physiology of Nile tilapia. And so we had to go through the proper ethics channels and whatnot to actually seek the approval and guidelines necessary to conduct something like that, where we have to dissect fish after that. But even then, it was, even I recall back then, that feeling of this, I don't think is necessary, even if it's just for a fish. But for a dog, I mean, maybe I'm more biased because I'm a dog owner, but I think all around, maybe that's a bit much.
Yeah, and I guess, do you see it as, like, whether we're talking about a fish or a dog, more problematic than, let's say, like if you were to be like dissecting a carrot or something like that? Like, you see a clear difference, like the fact that they're animals is what makes it problematic, correct?
I think, yeah, in general, yeah, since it's a being, it's a live animal, and just like us, I think in any way, just that universal, any living form to undergo that kind of experiment is too much.
Just to be clear, though, so if you were dissecting like a carrot or a cucumber or something like that, like you'd have no issue with that at all, right? Like you wouldn't even cross your mind like that this is unnecessary or something like that, if there was value in doing so.
Yeah, I think that's different, being that it's like plant-based, and that's something where I think in a weird way doesn't have as much sentiment to people as it would be pets. Like obviously a live animal for an example would make like anybody would be like, that might be extreme even if there's value to it. But a carrot or a cucumber
There's no one
might be,
inside, right?
yeah,
Of a carrot or a cucumber.
except seeds that would allow it to grow more
Sure,
and
sure.
duplicate.
I guess my point is just to emphasize the lack of sentience in a carrot or a cucumber as compared to like a dog or a fish or a caterpillar or whatever animal.
Yeah.
Great. So I'm wondering what you think about the use of animals in the meat, egg, and dairy industries. You mentioned like the necessity or lack thereof when it comes to experimentation of certain kinds. And I'm wondering, I guess, if you would then kind of extrapolate that same reasoning to the use of animals for food, seeing as how um, there is an abundance of like plant-based type options that people can choose, in a big city like Chicago, which would basically render the need to use animals moot.
Yeah, I think in that retrospect, yes, contradictory to even my belief about pets. With food being mass produced at such a scale, I would argue the ethics and standards there are a little bit different because, in a way, they are isolated in a sense that they don't have that kind of freedom, or in a limited sense, freedom to feel or express or live in the plains or whatnot. Whereas like animals, like dogs, cats, more domesticated pets, they have that difference. But if they're being mass produced at that, I think it leads to more conversations than whether or not that's something that can be like applied unanimously to live animals that are being mass produced for grocery stores and restaurants.
I think I get what you're saying about the domestication. I mean, I would posit that like any animal who relies on humans for survival would be considered domesticated. Whether we're talking about a dog, a cat, a chicken, a cow, a pig, turkeys, would you agree that like domestication kind of covers farmed animals as well?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've had a friend who's had chickens, and he never butchered them or anything, and he took care of them and whatnot, and he wouldn't even touch their eggs. So I mean, I definitely firsthand witnessed somebody who, even with a chicken, you know,
So did your friend rescue them?
he bought them from like a farm store or whatnot.
Yeah. So yeah, I know of people. So if you couldn't guess, I guess I'm an animal rights activist, and so I fight for the rights of animals to not be exploited by humans. So yeah, I do see a distinction between animals that are domesticated versus animals that are like, let's say, actually truly wild. If you think about our zebras and gazelles and lions and such animals, I think when we talk about cows and pigs and turkeys, chickens, etc. There is this idea that it's like all they've ever known. If they've just been confined, etc. I was having a little bit of trouble understanding the angle at which you were coming at that concept. Were you saying that if they've kind of been bred for that purpose and that's all they've ever known, that it might be more ethical to turn them into food, or were you saying something else? I guess.
No, I think you were pretty aligned with what I was trying to essentially relay. I think if they're born and bred and utilized for mass production purposes, I don't think I'm sure you can agree to some extent that there was already some sort of ethical practice that goes into standardizing how exactly they are. And even if there's not, then definitely there's room for improvement there. I think there's always that. But no, to your point, I think there is a differentiation between domesticated animals and that, even if in that sense their purpose is to really be their forced purpose, I would argue, is to be used for food for humans.
You really highlighted a key word there, like forced purpose. Do you see any ethical issue with forcing a purpose? Because if you do see an issue with that, then it really doesn't matter how we're treating them, right? If we're viewing them as property, whether we're farming chickens, dogs, cows, pigs, Because dogs are farmed, for example, in some parts of the world. Do you think that that forced purpose does present an ethical issue, right? Like in and
Yeah.
of itself, the use of the animal.
Yeah, I mean, I would still argue that even animals, and I've grown up watching documentaries, seeing how mass production works, seeing kind of the hidden films that show where there certainly is there's clear evidence that it's not ethical how they're going about. I mean, some cattle literally walk through a conveyor, get shocked, instant death. I mean, I, it's extreme, it's abrasive, but there's a lack of sensitivity to that. But I think in general, yeah, there should be more ethics, instilled with how exactly a process is to transition animals, no matter whether they're food purposes or uh, animals that we raise.
Yeah, I mean, and not that I think it makes a difference in terms of ethicality of killing animals, but it's oftentimes not an instant death. I would say that it's actually rarely ever an instant death. When cows, for example, like if they get hit with like a captive bolt gun, for example, it just basically hits them like in their brain and kind of like it's almost just like getting bludgeoned real fast. It kind of like renders them a little bit like it discombobulates them basically, but it's not actually what kills them. Um, Actually, the industry prefers that the animal's heart be beating when they're bled out because otherwise the flesh would be soaked with meat, or with blood rather. So the purpose of cutting their like jugular vein and aorta while their heart's beating is so that the heart can beat out like the last bits of blood. So they're dying that way. If you think about pigs, for example, the most humane certified way of killing a pig is to put them in a CO2 gas chamber, which basically reacts with the mucous membranes in their lungs to produce carbonic acid, which is like this highly burn feeling producing compound, similar like if you open a can of soda and you accidentally bring it too close to your mouth too soon, you inhale this like sharp kind of sensation. So it's basically it's immersing like maybe 3 or 4 pigs at a time in a gas chamber, and they thrash about as they realize that this concentration of this gas is increasing in the air. Then they kind of like plop out onto this like metal receiving area, and then finally they're kind of like weak. They're not dead at that point. They're just like seriously internally traumatized, like physically traumatized by that point. And then they're just easier to kill basically. So they're less likely to like injure the people who are, in many cases, also receiving trauma themselves by having to inflict this violence on these animals. So, yeah, I would posit that however this is done. I mean, these animals do just like you or I would, fight for their last breath when someone is attacking them, like with a knife or with some kind of a gun. And I would also encourage you to think about the fact that these animals oftentimes are very trusting toward humans. In fact, like the better they've been treated in their lives, the more trusting they are. And there's examples, yeah, and there's examples of cows, like baby cows, kind of suckling on the bolt gun, but like looking up at the person who's about to, pop them in the head with it. And I would posit that there's even more of a betrayal when you're doing this to an animal who's actually grown to trust humans. Like they trust us, and then we betray that trust in the most violent way possible, taking literally the only thing they have. Like Rike doesn't have pockets. He can't even own money. You know what I mean? He just has his life, like the one life that he was granted by whatever force puts life in us. So I would encourage you to continue to kind of explore the ethics of this, and I'd like to just give you, Austin, a little. I would assume you're over 18. I didn't have to guess, but I assume okay. Because you look pretty, like you age pretty well if you're over 18. So I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so yeah, I would look more into that. And I just asked that because it has some kind of a little bit of some sensitive imagery in it. And I'd also encourage you to look up a documentary called Dominion. Since you did mention the kind of standard practices that are kind of like standard protocol in these industries, I would recommend looking into that because it's not like a highlight reel of the most gruesome, worst of the worst type things. It doesn't just feature slaughterhouse workers just beating animals and stuff like that. It's just like kind of like what is the standard practice that takes an animal from a whole being with bodily integrity, or mostly bodily integrity, because farmers are also doing terrible things like ripping testicles out of pigs and docking their tails and searing beaks off of chickens and things like that in order to kind of do out control stuff. But yeah, I looked into that. It's Dominion 2018. If you search for that on YouTube, it's out of, I think, Australia for the most part. But I mean, these are kind of like the standard practices across the world for the most part. And I appreciate your time, and thank you for stopping.
Of course. Thank you for letting me talk.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Have a good one. All right, welcome everybody. I see Evil Steven in the chat. I see Brett Barnes in the chat. I see Lewis in the chat. I see some awesome people in the chat. I see Navia here. Thank you guys for being here. I'm kind of just getting started here, but also kind of not going to be out here too long. But let's keep it going here. So I'm going to keep holding the sign. Do appreciate your guys' time. If my battery was a little bit higher right now and I had a little more hydration in me, I'd be going for longer. But try to go a little longer yet. Hopefully, maybe like until the hour or so. I think I got another 25 minutes in me here. Just not that well hydrated right now. That's really the main thing. A little bit windy right now. Hey James, good to see ya. I see ya, Patricio. Patricio says Paraguay. I'm in Chicago. I don't know what this plaza is exactly called, but I'm kind of overlooking the Chicago River here, kind of like right downtown, and holding the sign. This is basically this is the post-work version of workout I did yesterday. So instead of going to the gym, I just thought, hey, I might as well do some outreach, and yeah, we'll see what we can get going here. I thought that last conversation was pretty well received. I didn't want to like push too aggressively in that one. I thought that Austin was really quite receptive, and I thought that if I just kind of gave him the resources that he would look more into it. So it's kind of put the ball in his court with that one. Hola. Got some violin music. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it always adds to the drama a little bit, like when there's some kind of emotional violin music in the background. It actually kind of like, it was kind of touching to me, when I started the stream. I was just thinking about like a lot of times when I'm doing outreach, like I used to do a lot of outreach with AV, and there'd be some like kind of emotional music playing in the background, and just hearing that music is kind of like it just kind of pulls at your heartstrings a little bit, makes you kind of appreciate the gravity of what you're doing. Enjoy your run, James. Glad that you could pop in. Thank you for all your activism for animals as well. So we'll see if we can get some other people to participate here. Got some cops hanging out behind me. Oh, hello. Would you like to participate?
I am a sociology major.
Okay.
2 seconds. I got time. 2 seconds.
Okay, great. So would you mind backing up a little bit here? A little bit more, please. Okay, and then kind of move that way with you. Okay, so what's your name?
Amy.
Amy?
Uh-huh.
Cool. My name is Haz. I'm an animal rights activist, and I'm wondering if you think that animals have rights.
Oh, absolutely. I have a baby poodle.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
And what rights do you think that animals have?
To be treated with respect, love, and care.
Yeah. And what would...
And not to be harmed.
Not
for
to be
people's
harmed.
pleasure.
Wow,
To
okay.
watch. Like circus?
Yeah, sir. Would you mind coming a little bit closer? Sorry. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're against like the use of animals for circuses?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
To be stared at and looked at.
Yeah.
For people's
and
entertainment.
you're against animals being harmed for human benefit
absolutely.
purposes? Yeah.
No fur.
Yeah. Do you eat animals?
Absolutely, I do. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm saying sorry to me is a little bit of a
Yeah.
misplacement of the apology.
Exactly.
Um,
Sorry, cows.
yeah, I mean, because they're the victims, right? So,
Yeah.
do you think that you need to eat animals?
I don't know if I have time to answer that. That's a loaded question to me.
It's a very simple
Yeah.
yes. It's only as complicated as you
I
make it.
know.
Let me just give you
Sorry.
some information.
Okay.
And I'd encourage you to
Thank
look
you.
up on YouTube. It's called The Best Speech You'll Ever Hear.
The best speech you'll ever
Yeah,
hear.
it's by Gary
Okay.
Yourofsky.
Okay. Thank
All right,
you.
yep, have a good one. All right, well, leaflet handed out at least. All right, I'm gonna keep holding my sign. Navi says future Gary vegan. I don't know. Would she be a Gary vegan or would she be a Haas vegan? Or would she be like a Haas and then parentheses Gary vegan? I don't know. It really doesn't matter though, right? It's hello. Would you like to participate?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Do you mind being live on YouTube, by the way? Oh, sorry. Let me just close this. Okay. Great. So
Wow, you have a lot.
no, that's a lot. You said?
Oh, I thought
No, only 9
I was
people.
looking at the time.
Oh,
My
yeah.
bad.
Yeah, no, only 9 people right now.
embarrassing
But
myself.
no, you're fine. Would you mind backing up a little bit just to come in the front? What's your name?
Sarah.
Sarah, cool. My name is Haas. So I'm asking people about animals. I'm wondering if you think that animals in general, I guess, like deserve or have rights.
Yes, I do.
What rights do animals have?
I would say that they just need to be treated in a humane way. If that makes sense. I think
Can you give some examples of like maybe treating an animal in a humane versus inhumane way?
maybe like the way
Or maybe
that
just
they're
talk about what humane means. Maybe sorry to cut you off there.
Oh no, you're fine. I think that maybe in the sense that if they are going to be used for food, they have to have like suitable living conditions prior to that and not maybe stuck in like small quarters, and they need to have like free range, I think is the term. I don't know that much about this, but
Yeah, I appreciate your humility on it. So, would you apply this to like all animals? Like, for example, like, I imagine that you're fine with then, like, if let's say cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys are raised in what one would consider like ideal conditions, that that then slaughtering them for human consumption would be a-okay with you from an ethical perspective.
I guess, since I don't know that much about it, but I think that I think that people will eat them, I guess. I don't know, but
I mean, people will do a lot of things though. People will be PDFs. People will do all sorts of stuff, right? But we don't have to participate in those things, right? There's going to be human trafficking, things like that. But you know,
correct. I think that there should be suitable conditions for the animals, and then if you don't want to, if you're not happy with those conditions, then you don't have to partake in eating the animals and such. You can be vegetarian or vegan.
I forgot to ask, by the way, are you over 18?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so you mentioned vegetarian, which is kind of a whole different issue, I guess, because like vegetarians exploit animals nevertheless. But I just want to kind of like go along this this thought pattern tree thing, I guess. And I asked the age because it's just a little bit of a sensitive subject. But you know, when we talk about like this idea of like humane conditions for animals, which you know you kind of gave a prescriptive statement, and that being the way that it should be done with cows, pigs, turkeys, chickens, for example. Would you apply that to like countries where, let's say, dogs are farmed and eaten, for example, in that you would also be okay with the dogs that are like raised for meat being raised for meat, as long as they were given, you know, good conditions, proper treatment, treated with respect, as you say?
I mean, honestly, I don't know that much about it, and I would
What does
say
your intuition say, though?
that I don't know. I don't know that much about it, and I don't want to like really say something if I don't have an educated opinion.
Do you know any less about it than you do about the farming of other said animals, cows?
Just
pigs,
I think it's what I was raised and how I experienced life in the United States, just because they don't do that in the United States. But I don't know how other countries would do it and what the ethical standards would be.
I mean, well, think about this. The ethical standards could be even better. I mean, think about like raising dogs, right? So you have like a litter of puppies. You keep them in an indoor-outdoor hybrid environment. You give them belly rubs. You give them treats. You give them names. They get nothing but love until they have one bad day where you hang them upside down by their feet and cut them ear to ear.
Yeah, that seems a little insane.
Yeah. And would you say then it's any more insane? Like, think about it, you just take the dogs out and replace the dogs with chickens, replace them with turkeys, replace them with cows. Do you think that for the victim, whether the victim is, whatever species they didn't choose to be born as,
Right. I
that it
definitely
makes
see what
any
you're
difference?
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I don't know. I mean, I definitely see that it would be unethical in some sense, and
I mean, just-
all the animals should deserve
Yeah.
rights.
Yeah, think about the animal outlook. So whether the person looking out from those eyes, because I see person as being someone with a subjective experience of the world. Obviously, like human being is different. I'm not saying
Right.
that they're human beings. That would just be a category error. But in all the ways that matter, right? They have ears to hear, eyes to see, noses to smell, mouths to eat, etc. They have hearts that beat. Do you think that like the experience of someone coming at a chicken or a turkey with a knife would be any less horrifying to those animals than it would be for a dog, for example?
No, I don't. Yeah.
They try to run away, right? They try to get
Right.
away. Yeah.
What is like? Can I just ask what is like? Obviously, you're advocating for animal rights, but what is the bigger purpose?
So animal rights in the form of veganism. So
Okay.
my dream is for humans to basically seize. Oh, is there just a collision there? I hope not. No, I think they just hit the curb. Okay, back to our regular scheduled programming. Yeah, it's for humans to stop exploiting other animals. So I want basically humans to live in a way where we don't see animals as means to an end. So when we look at an animal, they don't have to look back at us in fear because they're not going to be concerned with what we're going to try to turn them into or use them for, basically, or use them as. Like, we're going to turn this cow into a couch. We're going to turn this raccoon into a hat. We're going to turn the snake into a pair of overpriced shoes. So that's my goal, basically. We stop exploiting other animals now, like what animals do in the wild, like the so-called sovereign animals. It's not. I don't think it should be our job to police what they do. I understand that there is real harm, and I understand that it is horrifying for like a zebra to get eaten alive. My primary concern is just what's happening. I don't want to be the policeman of the animal kingdom. I just want to help humans hold ourselves to a higher standard than what we see in the natural world. Like, we see infanticide, we see sexual assault in the animal kingdom, and it seems to be the case that humans just pick one behavior that those animals do, which is the eating of other animals, and then attempt to kind of normalize that among our species. So, given the fact that, especially with eating, that we don't need to use them in any way, and then when we think about other things like experimentation, we have alternatives. When we think of all entertainment kind of things, it's usually people who have a very calloused heart toward animals, who like to use animals for things like rodeos and circuses and that kind of thing. So I'd like to just basically evolve to a point where we're not exploiting animals. We're just seeing them as ends in and of themselves, with whatever you want to call it, maybe God-given purpose that they have. Respecting that is not ours to determine or impose upon them.
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that
Sure.
with me. Yeah. I honestly, like I said, I don't know. I haven't really thought about this that much. I haven't. But it was very interesting to hear, and I'll definitely keep it in mind for the future.
And what do you think that? What do you think about that position? I guess, like, do you think that it's more in line, like the world that I described, my dream that I told you I had? Does it seem more in line with the world that you want to see? Like, if you were a tree, would you be kind of like rooted closer to that position, or would you be further away, standing somewhere?
I definitely see it, and I think it would be very ideal. I don't know if it would be practical, but also I think that maybe with the way that science and technology is advancing, that maybe, again, I don't know, but maybe there was a need for humans to consume animals to get the correct protein and everything in the past, and maybe in the future that won't be as necessary.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessary at all. I mean, yeah, in the past we didn't have we didn't have scientific knowledge about different vitamins, different macronutrients. Now we have millions of vegans all around the world. I've been vegan almost 13 years. I haven't eaten an animal in 2 years before that even. And the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which is the largest association of nutritionists and dietitians, they're not a vegan organization, but they have a position paper stating that a well-planned plant-based diet can be suitable for all stages of life. Protein is protein at the end of the day. It's a chain of amino acids, and in fact, all protein comes from plants. If you're eating animals, you're just recycling that through the body of a murder victim, essentially. And we talk about things like dairy, for example. That's just basically prolonging the suffering of these animals because it's just enslaving them basically before holocausting them. So it's just basically providing the victims to the slaughter industry. And I say the word Holocaust very intentionally because the Holocaust is basically killing on a mass scale. So this is actually the largest and most longest ongoing Holocaust that has ever existed. So I'd really encourage you to look into this more and to kind of think about what side of history you want to be on when it comes to this injustice, because it will end one day. Maybe not entirely, right? We're never going to have a world where humans aren't, at least one human isn't murdering another human, or at least one human is not, sexually assaulting people, or at least one human isn't commodifying, exploiting animals. But you can be someone that's kind of pushing that tide. And,
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, absolutely.
What brought you to this point?
To the point of
Just
not wanting to exploit
vegan
animals.
for 13 years and then not eating meat for 2 years before
Yeah,
that.
it was honestly awareness. Like when I found out about what was happening, I just was like, I don't want to contribute to this. And being vegetarian for 2 years, I saw myself as somebody who cared about animals, like decently concerned with the well-being of my fellow creatures. And when I saw the footage of male chicks getting ground up alive because they don't lay eggs, right? So the egg industry considers them a byproduct, puts them in a wood chipper.
Oh my God.
And in the dairy industry, the breed of cow that's bred for milk is different than the one that's bred for meat. So the males also either get shot in the head in front of their mom when they're born, or put into a little veal crate, and they're purposely made to be confined so they don't move a lot, so their flesh is extra tender for veal shoes and veal steaks and stuff like that. I was just like, wow, this is totally unnecessary. Yeah. I can still have all my same politics. I can have all my same friends. I can have my whole sense of music, sense of humor, favorite music, all that stuff. I can just be one less person commodifying and exploiting animals. I can actually not be a hypocrite. When I say that, I actually am an animal lover. But I don't want to make it sound like you have to be an animal lover. There's vegans who don't really care for animals much, but just see this as a logical extension of human rights, which is totally valid as well.
Yeah. Do you just do this for a passion, or is this something that you're involved in your work life, or?
I'm not getting paid for this in any way. Yeah, it's just something that I do. I got off work a little while ago, and it's something that I believe in very strongly. I think about a time when people lived during other injustices. I think that humans are fallible, and we have, I guess to use an ableist term, regrettably, but a blind spot when it comes to the injustices in which we're currently involved, right? Because it doesn't take any kind of ethical conviction to look back and say, restricting women's right to have bank accounts or to vote was so cruel, or enslaving humans and shipping them across the Atlantic Ocean in a packed boat was so cruel. But when you think about all these injustices, a lot of times what happens is people are they were treating us like animals. And do we ever stop to think like what? Treating you like what? Say it a little louder, and let me hold up a mirror to you as you say that, so you can reflect on who you're actually using as the bottom denominator, and why don't we just raise the bar for everybody?
Yeah.
I think if we have a society where kids are taught, students are taught, pupils are taught, to not discriminate based on species, then I don't think that they would also grow up hating each other on the basis of skin color, on the basis of other, size, shape, and color type differences.
Yeah.
So I'm basically wishing to abolish speciesism and to get people to basically live a life where we're not commodifying other animals.
Very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing. This was awesome to
I appreciate your
learn about.
I appreciate your curiosity.
Yeah.
And I'd encourage you to look up, there's a documentary called Dominion. It's out of Australia, Dominion 2018. It's incredibly hard to sit through because it's basically, almost the entire thing is basically showing, not a highlight reel, but just standard practices of what happens to animals in all sorts of different industries that use them. It's incredibly difficult to get through. You might find yourself crying throughout the whole thing. If you find that to be too intense, I'd recommend checking out The Best Speech You'll Ever Hear by an activist named Gary Yourofsky, who gave I think thousands of college lectures This is like one of his, I guess, his most famous college lectures on the topic. There is still some, I believe there's like a short clip of some like factory farming practices in that clip as well. And I'd also like to give you a leaflet if I could.
Sure.
So this is from an organization called Vegan Outreach, who has provided me with these. So this kind of just talks about different ways that you can kind of pursue a life where you're leaving animals out of your consumption, basically.
Great. Thank you so much.
So I guess after this conversation, would you say that being vegan would be more in line with your values, whether or not the actions are ready to align with that?
I think that you definitely shared some very interesting points, and yeah, possibly, definitely, yeah.
All right, that's really good to hear. And, I never go into this expecting to just turn someone vegan. It does happen, but my goal more is just to get people to reflect on their own values because I think good people, when they get this information, they will change. I think it's by design that it's been hidden from people. We hear about vegan propaganda, and many people would criticize me what I'm doing right now and just basically say like I'm a street preacher kind of thing or something like that. But honestly, the propaganda is almost like invisible for the dominant system. Like that's what makes it the dominant system. So when we name these things like speciesism, carnism, it's basically the equivalent of feminism naming the patriarchy. So it's basically naming this invisible belief system into which we're all indoctrinated from a tiny little age.
Yeah.
So I'd encourage you to really look more into it and just ask yourself, how many more animals you would want to be exploited or killed on your behalf for unnecessary reasons.
Yeah.
And I believe that your answer would be zero. So it's just a matter of aligning your actions with your values. And I would say that the sooner you align that, for one, the sooner you're doing justice by those animals who need this to happen like yesterday. And then also the quicker that you can be out of a state of cognitive dissonance where your actions actually align with your values, because it's a painful state to be in where you're kind of like having to create rationalizations for yourself. So you can be more honest with yourself and you can call yourself an animal lover in earnest.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate your stopping by.
Thank you. This was very cool to learn about and great to hear everything you had to say, and I look forward to reading this and learning some more about it.
I appreciate it. And also, if you want to check out my channel on YouTube, it's called
Yeah.
Haz Vegan. So it's just my name, Haz.
H-A-Z?
H-A-Z.
Okay.
Vegan, one word.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank
I'd
you
love
so
to see
much.
you on there too.
Yeah.
You can see yourself too and
Yeah.
reflect on it or whatever.
Thank you
All right,
so
yeah.
much.
Have a good night. All right. I think that was a good conversation, and I think that she's definitely going to look into it more. So I have a good feeling about that. And I'm sad to say that we actually are nearing about the time when I will need to wrap up. Battery's getting on the low side. My dehydration is getting to the point where I'm starting to feel a little bit dizzy. So I do need to go drink water. I have not drank much water today. But thank you to everybody for being here. And by the way, this was, I think, my last stream with this phone. And I think the quality is just fine. But I do have an upgrade waiting for me at home. So hopefully the next stream will have even better video. And yeah, I'm looking forward to producing more content. Hopefully getting out again sometime again this week. So thank you everybody for your time here, vegans and non-vegans alike. If you haven't liked the stream, please do so, and give my channel a subscribe if you want to see more content like this. If you don't want to see more content like this, probably don't subscribe to it, because I am going to be out producing more animal rights content. But if you enjoyed it, definitely be out here. We have some exciting content coming up, like some fellow vegan interview live stream type, like Zoom call format type things. And I have a very, very big project coming up, maybe within like 6 to 8 weeks, like absolutely huge project. So I'm really, really excited to announce this. I'm keeping it under wraps a little bit just now, but this is probably going to be, definitely going to be my biggest project that I've done for animal rights. So really, really, really excited to put this out. But still kind of doing like the initial baseline planning, but it's going to be huge. So yeah, I can't wait. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here. VSL, I see it here. Thank you everybody for being here, and I'll catch you guys another time. All right, take care, and yeah, be awesome, and stay hydrated, because I'm not hydrated right now and I'm feeling it. So stay hydrated. I'm gonna go home and hydrate, and take care everybody. All right, bye for now. Bye-bye.